my name is Corey Turner, and I am an affiliate marketer.
So you got an animation because they recruited you for animation?
Well, just because they came to our school and they told us about the animation program.
Okay.
And I saw, they showed us what you can do using animation and the power of animation. And it interested me because I always liked animation, I always liked cartoons. Drawing for me was more of a hobby. I didn't feel like it was a real skill that I had. It's just something I did in my free time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would just draw characters and stuff that came to my mind on cartoon shows I liked at the time as a kid. So that's what connected me with animation when they presented it to us in high school. So I was like, oh, maybe I should do that. But then while I was in the school, I saw the huge gap between me and my peers. So when it came to doing homework assignments, I was way behind everyone else as far as skill level was concerned.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the classes were so good and well structured that you can really hone your skills fast. Because they taught drawing from a technical standpoint, which I found myself doing projects that I never thought I would be able to do. You know what I mean? And so it excited me to be able to push past my boundaries and go past what I was comfortable with doing. But then life happened. You know what I mean? So, and because life happened, I kind of just dropped it. Even though I was really proud of the work I did, my sketchbooks, I didn't want to throw them away just because I saw where I was and where I got to in the short amount of time I did it in. So, I mean, the program was great, the school was great, but I feel like it took so much more effort to create that it was more wearing on me. Like it wasn't enjoyable anymore. So that's why I felt like it was more of a hobby to me rather than the actual skill I had or a talent that I had, because it felt more like work rather than an enjoyment or fulfillment. So going back to before, when I came across entrepreneurship, business development, becoming a solopreneur and what you can do.
You say solopreneur?
Yeah. It's just an entrepreneur who operation is just based around themselves. They don't have a team, they don't have, a lot of the resources that a company would have. So you bootstrap it by using the resources you do have. And they just coined the term as solopreneur. And that just made me come alive, you know what I mean? Because it showed me that you can work on something, create something, bring value to others that others will be willing to pay you for and actually be able to help themselves in whatever journey or goals they wanted to reach. So creativity took a whole new spin because they bridged the gap between having the skill of being an artist, an illustrator, but then also being able to use that skill and talent and turn it into income for yourself, rather than struggling to find a job or being the starving artist that you always hear, right? So, and the thing that they attributed that to was all these people have talent, but they don't know how to sell themselves. So that's where entrepreneurship comes into play, and learning the skill of marketing and why people buy certain things and why they invest in certain things. And that really empowered me because although I didn't feel like I had that natural talent of creating, I can bring value in showing others how to market themselves and create a lifestyle or bring income for themselves using the talents they do have.
So it's almost like, I guess, you're bringing together both sides of it, because been a creator and you enjoyed that for a time until more important things in life came into play, and now you're seeing it from the, well, you know, I was a creative and my heart wasn't really into it, but I do still enjoy the creative process. But now I want to show others how they can take their talent and become something more with it, because there are so many creative people.
Exactly.
Just kind of
Right. Okay. No, seriously. And understanding that the world that we live in, you no longer have to bound yourself just to your geographical location. Because there can be people that are interested in your type of art that are miles away in other countries, in other states. You know what I mean? That will be willing to buy what you have, they just don't know that you exist. So in the time that we live in, because we have the internet and all of the resources that we have, that starving artist mindset no longer has to be a barrier, but you can overcome that barrier by using marketing to reach the audiences who are interested in the type of work that you do. So I still to this day love pencil drawing. Like the whole sketching process, that was probably one of my favorite classes in Art Institute. And so I follow some people on Instagram who do amazing work, and they also have like millions of followers, which I feel like that wouldn't be the case if they were just sitting at home drawing and just showing no one, or just showing their friends or the people in their geographical area. But because they can put their art on a bigger platform, then they can also reach a bigger audience. And for me, I feel like creativity is on both ends of the spectrum now. For the person who's drawing or creating videos or photography, but also for the person who is doing the marketing and the sales part, because you still have to be creative in how you reach that audience. Just because you show someone artwork doesn't mean they're gonna like it. So there's still a sense of creativity that has to go into the selling process and the marketing process that I actually enjoy, which is the psychological part of it.
Yeah, and I think that's something I was going to kind of point out what you're saying is, when it comes to selling or knowing how to promote a creative person, it gets down to understanding demographics and, you know, what's the actual audience that they appeal to,
Right.
And then how do you get that audience? How do you call that audience to action in a way that I guess makes them more successful? Because honestly, with a creative person, they fall in love, or they're on the more of the creative side itself, they fall in love with the process of doing things, and they love the art that they do.
Right.
But it's sometimes hard to say, hey, I drew this picture, can you buy it?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or, I shot
Right.
this video, do you mind spending money on it? Like,
Right.
how do you get people to value what you do outside of visual appreciation or whatever the medium of your creativity is, you know, it's a non-income related appreciation.
Right.
So you know, it's hard as a creative to get people to even come out of your shell enough to say, hey, I do a thing.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and then you want to show people what you do, but then you're super shy.
Right.
And then you get some people in your corner who are like, oh man, what you do is amazing. It's like, great. I would love to do this for a living, but I don't even know how that works.
Right.
So
Right.
that is pretty interesting.
And so understanding that the one of the biggest things about that is that even in your circle, right, you have people who appreciate your art. So that's where the conversation can come up to what about it do you like, which then helps you understand what about your art sets you apart from other people. A lot of times artists just classify themselves as an artist, which is so broad, right? You know what I mean? Even if you niche it down to say, I'm a sketching artist, or I'm a photographer or a videographer, that's still a large umbrella. But what about your style sets you apart? And I feel like that's what breaks down different audiences. And because the internet makes your world so big, you can pick your piece of the pie if you understand what sets you apart. So when you talk to your friends or family who like your art, and you ask them those questions of what they like about it, then you can then use that information to sell yourself or to promote yourself. Even though it can be awkward, you know what I mean? But that's where those relationships come, because some people love selling other people. And you can just create that partnership to say, I don't really like doing the selling part, but I know it's important to what I want to reach, the goals I want to reach in life, and to provide income for myself. So how about we create some type of partnership to where you handle that part and I can just focus on what I love. And so that's why I feel like the entrepreneurship community is amazing, because everyone gets to focus on what they love to do. And there's just this web of partnerships that create micro businesses. And so with that, everyone wins, right? So everyone gets to do what they love and they get to get paid for it.
So where are you in your process of becoming that, a solopreneur?
Yeah.
Where are you at in the process right now?
So because value is ingrained in my memory, I don't feel like any of this works unless you can bring value to someone. So I want to hone my skill first to where I'm doing it myself, and then I can share what I learned through my falling and my mistakes and my scratching and clawing to then provide that value for someone else. So now I'm focusing on how do I make it work for myself first, create a system around it that is easy to give to someone else.
So basically developing a process
Yes.
by which you could pick artists and walk them through it to get to their desired goal.
Exactly. And so with that comes learning the types of resources that are out there, the different platforms that are out there, and everything around that, right? Because if you're the person that's the selling or the marketer, then you need to know how that can relate to the person who doesn't want to do that, or package it in a way that makes sense to them. Because you don't want to lose them in all the groovy details and they're like, yeah, that sounds crazy. I don't even want to touch it. You know what I mean? Like, that's more complicated than me just being a starving artist. You know what I mean? So learning that process for myself first, and then creating a system around it, then helps me make an easier sale to other people.
Okay, so I guess last thing before ultimately this the battery dies, then I have to replace it. You mentioned something about podcasting.
Yeah.
And you didn't go into too much detail. So I guess what is it about podcasting that interests you, or what side of that are you? Are you a podcaster, or do you just comb through podcasts to help you learn your craft more? Both?
Right, so both. Just because of the way the industry is going and the world is going and the space of the internet is going, yes, I would love to have a podcast, but I feel like video content is where the fastest way to reach your audience, just because it's easier to digest. Podcasting is easy to digest as well. It's just that some people just need the visual along with the hearing something or to hearing someone talk.
Yeah, and I personally kind of feel like podcasting is it's supremely interest based, at least in my experience with it.
Right.
You know, a lot of celebrities right now, because we're in quarantine, they have a podcast.
Right.
But their podcast is typically based around a show that they did that they have such a massive following for.
Okay.
A lot of fans. So like, I used to be a big fan of Scrubs. I still love the show.
Okay.
Two of the main characters on there, they do a podcast about behind the scenes stuff on Scrubs. But outside of that, I've never really found value in podcasting.
Gotcha.
You know, podcasting seems to be like the radio, but more specific. It's not as broad.
Exactly. So podcasting for me, that was just my entry point into how I learned about the whole internet space, internet business space. So that was just my entry point.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I definitely see the value in it, but I also get the point you're making about video content being a little more easy to digest, and then we're in a space where, you know, the way that we consume the visual content is changing as it is. I mean,
right.
You know, for the longest time they've been talking about cord cutters. People no longer being interested in just having standard television, and then YouTube takes off a bigger, they take off more, and people are more interested in specific channels and people and things of that nature. So I definitely get that, because that whole landscape is shifting hardcore right now.
Right.
So I definitely get where you're coming from with that.
Right. So the big picture is to be, for the lack of a better term, is just what they're called now, is a content creator.
Yeah.
So whether that be blogging, podcasting, video, social media. It's just that the beauty about internet entrepreneurship is that you can use all of those niches to accomplish your business, because there's going to always be a certain pie of people who ingest information a certain way. Some people actually love reading blogs. Some people love listening to podcasts. Some people love listening to YouTube videos. Some people just want the quick snippet, which is social media. So you can use all of those to your advantage. You just have to know your target audience. So my big goal is to have that web of influence working together to be my full business, my full brand.